Medvedev warns Ukraine, last chance, before it's too late.
According to Medvedev, Kyiv now has a last chance to preserve some form of national statehood before the Ukraine conflict inevitably reaches its conclusion. Speaking on May 20th at an international legal forum in St. Petersburg, Medvedev, currently serving as deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, called on Ukraine to join peace negotiations. As reported by Russia's RT, Medvedev acknowledged that Moscow strongly dislikes the current political regime in Kyiv. However, he emphasized that Ukraine's leadership still has a final opportunity to retain, under certain conditions, some form of statehood, or to be more precise, some level of international legal status, which could provide a path to peaceful development after the end of military actions. Despite labeling Ukraine's current government as lacking sovereignty and describing it as a failed quasi-state, Medvedev reiterated Russia's willingness to engage in direct and unconditional peace talks. He stated that such talks must be grounded in today's on-the-ground realities and must address the root causes of the conflict. Medvedev also voiced concern that currently there is no individual in Ukraine with the legal authority to sign any peace treaty with Moscow. This concern, he explained, stems from the possibility that any agreement signed by the current Ukrainian government could be overturned by a future administration after elections. As of now, the Ukrainian government has not issued an official response to Medvedev's remarks. According to RT, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's official term ended last year. However, he has repeatedly postponed new elections, citing the ongoing war and martial law. While Moscow has questioned Zelensky's legitimacy as Ukraine's leader, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov indicated last month that Russia might overlook this issue in order to restart peace negotiations. The priority is the benefit of launching a peaceful resolution process, Peskov emphasized, adding that the primary goal is to initiate negotiations, while other questions are secondary. Last week, delegations from Russia and Ukraine met in Istanbul, Turkey, marking the first direct negotiations between the two sides since Kyiv unilaterally withdrew from the peace process at the end of March 2022. Vladimir Medinsky, head of the Russian delegation in Istanbul, later stated that both sides had agreed to conduct a prisoner exchange involving 1,000 detainees on each side. He added that further communication would continue once both parties finalized detailed proposals for a ceasefire. Regarding this issue, on May 19th, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that a prisoner exchange would soon take place, and that several venues, not only the Vatican, were being considered for future negotiations, according to the Kyiv Post on May 20th. "We are currently discussing the exchange of prisoners of war," Zelensky said during a press conference. He added, "There have also been signals from our side regarding political prisoners and journalists. I don't want to go into detail right now. For example, exchanging children for soldiers. To be honest, we don't support that approach. Children must be returned unconditionally. Such exchanges are unfair and fall outside the bounds of law and the rules of war." Zelensky noted that Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, along with representatives from Ukraine's security service, SBU, and intelligence agencies, are handling the matter. "I believe that in the coming days or weeks, we will see concrete results. The details and implementation dates are currently under discussion," he said. On May 17th, Ukraine's state news agency Ukrinform reported that the Joint Coordination Center for the Search and Release of Prisoners, under the supervision of the Security Service of Ukraine, had begun preparations for a large-scale prisoner exchange on a 1,000 for 1,000 basis.
Ukrainians anxious over ceasefire prospects.
Despite the resumption of direct talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul, hopes for a ceasefire remain dim as both sides continue to clash over key issues. On May 19th, US President Donald Trump warned he would abandon mediation efforts if negotiations fail to make meaningful progress. Trump had just held a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but the two leaders failed to reach an agreement on a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Instead, Putin proposed drafting a memorandum outlining both sides' positions as a step toward a future peace deal. Ukraine, meanwhile, has repeatedly demanded a comprehensive and immediate ceasefire. Many Ukrainian soldiers are skeptical, saying Russia currently has the upper hand on the battlefield and lacks motivation to negotiate. Ukrainian officials also question Moscow's commitment to peace and fear that without US support, Ukraine's position could deteriorate further. Russian negotiator Vladimir Medinsky stated that Moscow is prepared to continue the war for years if necessary. While some Ukrainian officials said they could adjust their stance on certain issues, they rejected demands for full neutrality or severing ties with the West. Several Ukrainian politicians admitted that taking part in talks was also a way to maintain support from the Trump administration and avoid being blamed for sabotaging the peace process. However, former Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar predicted that the war could continue for another 1 to 2 years, especially if Western aid diminishes. Ukrainian officials warned that a prolonged war of attrition could become unsustainable. It's like holding your ground on a plateau with only one drop of water left. Collapse becomes inevitable. To avoid that, we need to make our war effort more efficient, said a senior Ukrainian official. For many Ukrainians, the best-case scenario may now be a managed stalemate rather than a swift resolution.